Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Foy & Jones Show. We're recording virtually on Charlie Hula's favourite platform, which is Riverside FM, and I'm joined in the studio by someone who is making things happen. They are disrupting the old-fashioned builders merchant industry. Now that takes some doing, because when I started working in the builders industry, when I was 18, that was back in 1993, and the world has moved on, technology's moved on. So we're going to be meeting someone who is doing something very special and bringing a quite unique service, not just to the builders merchants themselves, but their punters and their customers and people on site who are listening to this episode. Before we go on, I have to say thank you to our sponsors, David Blitz. And if you don't know, David Blitz's company sell bricks, all right? He's asked me to make sure I say that. So ET Clay are proud sponsors of the podcast. Without our sponsors, we don't have a show. And what's been really good, Jack, and I'll introduce you in a second, Dave's been networking with our guests, and he's actually using his sponsorship and his podcast to grow opportunities for his business and some of our guests on the show. How good's that? Not bad, is it? So, Mr. Hopkins, Jack, welcome to the Foy & Jones Show. I'd like you just to take a moment to introduce yourself and introduce your business and just bring to life why I'm so excited about what you are doing right now.
Yeah, cool. So, thanks for having me, Pete, and cheers for the very generous introduction there. So, Tradies, I'm Jack Hopkins, CEO, co-founder of Tradies. So, Tradies is a technology platform for construction logistics, which is effectively on-demand delivery for builders merchants. So, to explain how it works, I may as well explain what the process is.
Mate.
Yeah. So we're B2B with merchants. The merchant is our customers. We bill them on 30-day terms. We don't bill the tradespeople direct. So a scenario where someone would use Tradies, it would be, you got a bricky or a chippy on site or whatever. Chippy needs a few 6-metre timbers and he needs it the same day. Okay, so he'd call his merchant, Lords, TP, Jewson, whoever, say, look, guys, I need 3 6-metre timbers and I need it now, like this afternoon. The merchant will say, look, all of our lorries and trucks and whatever are out, or you can book in, maybe 2 or 3 day lead time, maybe the next day, whatever, or we can Tradies it to you. At that point, they'll go onto our software. The merchant would go onto our software. They'd use our instant pricing tool. They'd click the priority level they want a vehicle, the address and whatever, and it just spits out a price straight away whilst they've got their customer on the phone. They'll tell them what the tradies price is, and the tradesperson will go, you know what, I need it done today, whatever, let's do it. The merchant then books it out on our portal, and it's got everything from, like I just said, the instant pricing, the multi-collection, multi-delivery, proof of delivery, pictures uploaded straight onto their portal. You've got, and e-signatures. We've got the ability to do e-commerce integration, so, with the merchant. So someone can go online and do a checkout same day with Tradies delivery. And we've also got integrations with other fleets if people want it as well, like Uber and whatnot. That's about to be released. So, they could order it on our platform and it goes straight on an Uber Eats bike, for example.
I see some video footage of that, Jack, on your social channels. I see it. I see it arriving on someone's job, mate. I saw it happen.
I think there was a GoPro on the helmet, wasn't it, or something like that? Yeah, no, it's cool. Yeah, we love all that sort of stuff. So we've got a great marketing guy, and he's doing a really good job. That was a collaboration actually with MP Moran.
I see it was with Moran. I went on a journey with you. It took me on a journey. But actually, this is something which I get. Yeah. I remember back in I'm 21 years in as running the Foy & Jones Recruitment Group. But prior to that, I was London Sales Director for Jewson, okay? Yeah. And I remember out of Peckham, we were running a Harrier service, which was small little open back trucks. And we were so proud that we could do a 4-hour delivery and we charged for the privilege, right? So our Harrier service back then was rapid response 4-hour. But in reality, right now, that's not rapid response as well. When we look at how we buy things now and how things are delivered to us, we track everything. It comes real time. The game's changed dramatically. But what hasn't changed is the ability of some of the builders merchant customers to be organised, to be forward thinking in their ordering, and then not to have those crises when it's the wrong length, we ain't got the right screws, that doesn't match. Oh my God, the customer's looking at me, we've got to do something, we need it there. So it's all, that's when you kick in, I imagine, is it?
It is, yeah. And I mean, if you wanted to quantify it as well, there's situations where some of these, especially these big commercial contractors, there's penalty clauses in place. If they don't get done by a certain date, they could get hit with a 20 grand fine. So, I mean, what is that 20 grand fine in comparison to paying 50 quid or something for the part to be delivered, on an on-demand courier? Or it might even be the homeowner. What homeowners are like as well, changing their mind every 5 minutes. You've just gone and bought a load of materials for what they originally wanted, and then all of a sudden they've changed it. So there's loads of different scenarios, but it's there. It's a lay-in on service. It's a great way to broaden the merchant's reach as well. Take over new territories. And also, I mean, sometimes you see these high-ab lorries and whatnot, they're going around and they're only delivering 3 pots of paint or something. So it's that could go on a motorbike. So the sustainable element there of not burning the fuel.
I remember back and I'm going even further. Even further back in time, mate. So I'm really showing my age here. But I remember being like 19, 20, working in Fulham branch, right, which is my local branch, and I know we're going to come on to Fulham in a bit. This is quite surreal when we start telling the tradie story. When you hit me with that when we last spoke, I can't wait for us to. Well, I'll put the hat on for you, mate. Just something to bring to life. But I remember, and we partnered up with a local courier service, right? A couple of young lads, and they had a couple of vans, and they were always there for when we needed them. They were like on permanent standby. And they used to have it off. They used to charge us by the hour, by the day, by the afternoon. But they used to dig us out of some real logistical problems back then. I don't imagine too much has changed. But what I'd love you to do, Jack, because I think these are one of the most special things about my guests. I had Matt Pitt on a few series ago from Caboodle, right? Yeah. And he spoke about how him and a van installing appliances, one man, one van, what the appliances turned into a multi-million-pound, multi-site business, and he's now delivering amazing high-end projects up and down the UK. We hear these stories. You hear about a business begun and where it is now, and you're in that exciting phase. And for me, the way you talk about the business and your people that you're working with and who you're networking with, like who you're with today, it honestly, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but it reminds me of me and Foyne back in the late 2003, 2004, when we started to rock and roll with Foyne Jones. We didn't have a clue what we were doing, but we thought we'd have a go. And we lent on our relationships, we lent on our personality, and we started things happening. So, Jack, take me back to where this began, what you was doing, how you saw this opportunity, and you've done something, mate, which many people dream of but are not brave enough. You're making this happen for yourself. So just tell me about where it came from, mate.
Yeah. So by trade, I'm an electrician. So I actually, I've done my apprenticeship up in London at all the big building sites and whatnot. And then as soon as I got qualified, I went solo as a one-man band, doing residential rewires and whatnot. Eventually built up my own little team of engineers, and the jobs got bigger and nicer, like commercial installs and whatnot. And I was just forever running parts around jobs, right, to my own engineers. And there were so many inefficiencies within my own business. So I knew there was a genuine problem there, but I didn't know how to solve it. Okay, so what I'd done is I went into what's called the product market fit stage. So you look at your problem, you sort of work your way back, and you try and find the solution. And how I started it was, I was the first delivery rider, and orders weren't placed through our portal; they were placed on WhatsApp. So it was me on a bike.
Good old WhatsApp, mate, takes over the world, doesn't it?
Honestly, we still use it though. Like even validating.
Who doesn't? There's not a business in the world. There's certainly not a business that I know that doesn't use it at some point for something.
especially the trade. You can't get them away from WhatsApp. But if we're going to input a new feature in the software, we wouldn't just go chuck in a load of tech resources towards it. We actually do validate it offline first through things like WhatsApp. If you want this, send us a WhatsApp, and then if we see enough demand there, then we put it into the tech. But so that's how we got going. And the original business model was tradespeople would send me a message of the products they needed. I'd then go off, procure the products, cycle to the job, and resell it to them with a markup of around 10% of the GMV at the time and a flat £8 delivery fee. So where I started, and Fulham,
you must have been doing some miles, mate, on the old bike, on the old Boris bike, you're pedaling away.
It was funny because I was doing the reason I picked Fulham is that's where a lot of my electrical work was. So one minute I was turning up on the site doing a electrical job with tools and whatever, and then the next minute I was like delivery bag, or I'm doing deliveries. And when I'd turn up to one of my jobs again with a delivery bag with electrical customers, or the electricians working for me, be like, "What are you doing?" But I was proving a concept out, and but yeah, that first business model didn't work actually. The sort of buying it and reselling it, because I partnered up with 3 partners on Dawes Road, which I believe is not far from. I think you were from Dawes Road,
mate. I know Dawes Road very well, very well.
Yeah.
I have family off Dawes Road, and when I mean off Dawes Road, I mean 30 seconds walk from Dawes Road.
Yeah.
My boys who are now grown up went to primary school on Munster Road, which is off Dawes Road.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and I had my last property in Fulham. I live down in Brighton now, but my last property in Fulham was off Munster Road and about a 40-second walk from the bottom of Dawes Road, mate. So this is home for me. This is where I'm from.
Nice, perfect. Yeah, so I
know the pubs, I know the people, I know the who to talk to and who not to talk to. But it's, as Arthur Daly would say, mate, it's Fulham and it's my manor. So there you go.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely part of London, and it was perfect for us because on that one road we had a little bit of everything. So we had Group B. It was Group B at the time. It's now called Lamps. So that's an electrical wholesaler. We had Gasworld Parts, which is obviously plumbing merchant, and then we had Action Building and Electrical Supply. So that was it sort of covered our building and a bit of hardware. So across them 3 little independents, all pretty much in a row, we had every trade covered, which was great. But going back onto why that business model didn't work, because I partnered with those guys, and the people were ordering on WhatsApp. I was cycling to the job, reselling it with a markup. In the situations where them customers then wanted to use me, but they were working in Clapham or something that bit further, I was then buying it from another merchant and reselling it to them. So then my partnered merchants saw me not only as a customer, but then a little bit as a competitor as well. So I thought, what the industry is like. It's so close knit. It's all based around loyalty, and these relationships are built over years. As I know, because I used to use an independent electrical wholesaler when I was on the tools, and used to go on holiday with them and whatnot. So you just can't really get in the middle of that relationship, I don't think. So they just wanted an on-demand delivery partner, a construction-focused on-demand delivery partner. So that's what we went down. We went down that route, started getting bigger vehicles, and the next stage of the vehicle was I wasn't on a bike. I had my electrical van, which was all racked out, all shelving, and I thought I need to test if there's demand for van delivery. So I ripped out all the shelving of my electrical van. So I started doing deliveries in that, and then my cousin was then on the bike. He's a plumber by trade. So then Louis was on the bike, I was in the van, and we're just driving around Fulham doing deliveries all day again, still on the tools. So it was a bit crazy. And it got to a point where...
By the way, I actually know that the listeners are going to be... Yeah. I find this fantastic. It's captivating. Do you know what I mean? I see you on your little bike going around Fulham Broadway, cutting around the Parsons Greenback doubles, going no, got to do this one, got to do that one. I mean, you couldn't do it on anything other than the bike now, mate. It's residents only going through them roads, mate.
That area,
do you know what I mean? It's tough. But look, let's what I want to focus on, because I love the way the story's coming together, but I want to go on the emotional journey, Jack, right? So when did you kind of have that eureka moment that, all right, it's not quite going how I want it to, but there is potential here, and because that's when if we go down like should we stick or should we twist, right? 90% of people have got these ideas, they've got these plans, they've got these dreams, but in reality, they stay on the hamster wheel of being a PAYE employee, and they build their careers, and they're either happy or sad, and they get promoted or don't, and change company, but they're on that employee journey, which is absolutely okay. You've actually said, no, look, I've been a self-employed electrician. I've been on sites. I'm doing this. I possibly can make something happen here. It's part of tech. It's part relationships. It's part hard work. Where did it really happen for you? And what was the pivotal moment? Because there always is something on the journey.
Yeah, I mean, there was actually a few of them. There was a few things which took us to the next stage, right? I had a mentor at the time, a guy called Chaz, still do. He's now invested in the business.
Shout out to Chaz. He's going to be I imagine Chaz will be a new listener to the Foy and Jones show. Fingers crossed, Chaz.
I'll make sure he listens. So he was sort of, he was building a similar business. It was groceries, on-demand delivery of groceries at the time, and he exited for a lot of money, which was nice. So I was sort of going to him with my progress and a few other contacts as well, letting them know my progress. And then they were saying, all right, you need to get to this next stage and this next stage. And halfway through it, and this is a really weird story. So, I was doing all this stuff in Fulham. I listened to a podcast. It was Will Shue, the founder of Deliveroo. Really strange. His one was Stephen Bartlett. And his story, and this is whilst I was cycling around in Fulham, he started it exactly the same, Deliveroo, and I didn't even know at the time. I listened to his podcast, and it was just him on a bike with Deliveroo, then one of his friends, and then their first office was, around the corner, no windows, just a few restaurants in Fulham, delivering around there. And I was listening to it, and I thought, I started piecing it together, and I thought, if he can do it, I need to keep going. And then the next moment was locking in. I know we mentioned MP Moran earlier. They were sort of our first big partner, because before it was, your Action and stuff like that, just sort of one shop independence. Moran's is still an independent, but they got 5 big branches, and signed them on. I thought, okay, now I'm impressing slightly bigger customers. Got a bit out of control, and I knew I didn't possess the full skill sets that I needed to take the business to where I wanted it to be. So I needed 2 business partners, and that's Joe and Ruben, who I've got on now. And Ruben's a full stack software engineer. So he just started digitizing everything that I was proving offline. That I was proving that merchants will partner with me. I was proving that tradespeople will pay X amount to have it delivered. It's just proving them things on a very small scale, and you start seeing traction, and then you just get to the next level. And that next level then was Moran's, and then it was getting my 2 business partners on board. And then it was we run over Travis Perkins. So very, very good of them to give us that opportunity, because at the time we were still at a very small stage. Barely had any tech out, and they launched us in two of their flagship branches, which is St Pancras and Paddington. We're now in about 40 of their branches in London.
They're big boy branches, mate. The only one that can play with them is Vauxhall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
when you start talking about them, that's my old. I used to rep Vauxhall, mate. They were happy days. Some of the best managers I've ever worked with and times. But again, these are eras that are gone. What I think is interesting is that, you as a startup with a concept have actually been able to unlock, some huge businesses there. You've unlocked Moran, and you're working with them. You've unlocked a couple of the TP branches in Zone 1. There's Zone 1 London branches, so they're always going to be busy. Did you do that locally with the managers involved? Did you do that with regional buy-in? How did that happen?
Yeah, so it was regional. We got in with some regional directors, really, really nice people, still deal with them now. And they then put us on to the branch managers. And you know how they operate. They are locally empowered, right? These branches, so they don't have to use you. They can use whoever they want, really. They sort of operate like they're their own little businesses. So I guess it then is a branch game. So you get in at director level, get set up as a supplier, and then you are sort of just playing a branch game. You go in there, introduce yourself. I used to do coffee mornings. I still should, really. And what that was is I went in there with a coffee machine, stand there at the counter and make the tradespeople coffee whilst they're waiting, and tell them about the service that the
Why have
merchant
you
can offer
stopped?
through
I think you
tradies.
should be doing. I don't think that should have ever stopped, Jack.
No,
I
to be
think you
honest,
should get yourself back out there, mate. Get on Nespressos and get them going.
we are going to. So the problem I've had the past year, we've been raising investment, and it takes a serious amount of money, amount of time.
And that conceptually as well,
Yeah.
that can be terrifying, exciting, daunting, all in equal measures, just to even go through that scaling process.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you've thrown that into the mix as well as being, because you come across as very hands-on and very committed. Like you were talking to me just now, I had a meeting here, a meeting there, I'm travelling back, and I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? This is someone who's living it, sleeping it, and breathing it, but actually following the dream as well. So bring us up to where Tradies is now, then, mate. So where are you right now in your journey?
Yeah, so I guess that is the investment piece, right? So we're just at the very back of the round now. So nearly secured 1.4 million. We're about 100k off or something. We got 1.3 million in and done. So now that we've got that money, it's scale time. So we can take over other regions, Birmingham, Manchester, all the rest of it. So we're gearing up for that now. Go into these other regions. We've now got the ability to onboard owner drivers as well. And that means, before it was just purely our vans. We've still got vans. But now we can just, a self-employed owner driver can just clock in their vehicle and they can start doing deliveries. But, when I say just clock in, we're vetting them. We're making sure their insurance is aligned with ours. We're making sure they're aware of how to operate in a construction yard and whatnot. And normally it's a construction-based vehicle type as well. So that's what we're going for. So that makes us a lot more scalable. The ability to do that. And it's a far more capital-light model as well, because you're not forking out on vans and yards all the time. But we do still maintain that core fleet. Another real win for us as well was getting on a guy called Dimitri Lieberman. So he was responsible for launching a Scaling Bolt, the taxi app. So he's one of our investors and mentors. We have monthly meetings with him, and he's key in that. In that driver marketplace sort of thing, because he's been there and done it, right? He's been there and done it with motorbikes and cars. We're now just doing it with larger vehicles. That's where we're at, building that supply side so that we can support the demand and uphold a good service. But in regards to partnerships, we've now got on Lords as well. We work with IBMG, CEF, ADI. We're just exploring it with Juicen at the moment. So it's great. We're really enjoying working with all these people. And just excited to just keep going.
Mate, a completely random question. What do you do to relax, Jack? Because you got about, you must be working 30 hours a day, 8 days a week. You're at it, and there's real passion that comes through as you're talking.
Yeah.
But how do you switch off? Because I talk to a lot of business owners about this, talk to a lot of founders, a lot of people at senior level, and they're like, I'm gonna climb Kilimanjaro, I'm gonna run a marathon, I'm gonna do this, and it's actually interesting just to hear sometimes people go, look, do you know what? I just turn my phone off and I have a kip. Do you know what I mean? Or I hit things, or I lift things. But do you find it all consuming and keeping you awake at night, or have you got a coping strategy that enables you to be the best version of you?
Yes and no. I've kind of always been used to it. So when I started my electrical company, the way I'd done it was I used to work night shifts at the airport, for a company whilst I was building up my own personal client base in the day. So I was working nights there, days there. I've always had that hard graft mentality. And when I was proving that concept with Tradies, I invested the first 200k myself, and that's not me giving it the big one, because I didn't have that money and I still don't. I didn't just slam that money on the table. I was working silly hours every evening, every weekend, and just feeding it in drips and drabs so that it could keep going and keep surviving until I could raise money. So I've kind of always been used to that hard work. But to answer your question of how I switch off, I've now got into the gym, and I think that's so important, because there was a stage when I came off of the push bike, the bike doing deliveries, and I wasn't on the tools, but I was in the office, but I wasn't really moving. I was just doing 15, 20-hour days, whatever, in the office, and I did feel unhealthy. It did get to me, putting a load of weight and whatever. And that's when I sort of, started getting into the gym and running, doing a lot of running, like what you're doing at the moment. And, be interested to see how you're getting on with that at the moment, actually. I think you're, 100 or something K in on your 200K challenge?
Oh, mate, so some of the listeners, I mean, I'd like to think most people know about it. I shout about it every day to anyone who's asking. But I'm raising money for the Parachute Regiment. I did it last November. I'm doing it this November. Our youngest son, Henry, serves with 2 para. So the charity and the regiment, very special to us as a family. This November, I'm going sober, which is actually quite easy. So I'm going sober. Nice. But I'm running 200K. I had a terrible start. I think I spoke to you around the time I was getting ready to launch it, right? Yeah. So I launched it on Halloween, and I'm going to run 200K, 6 and a bit K a day. I'm going to do it, or 7K a day. I'm going to do this, and I was really, really unwell, Jack. Like really unwell. Like seriously, is this pneumonia? I was in a bad way. So I did nothing on the first, nothing on the second, nothing on the third, other than literally lay in bed either shivering or sweating, depending on how the virus was working its way through. So I got to the Monday, and I'm like talking to my wife. I'm going, I'm minus 19K down here. I haven't even started. So I got myself out, and I was running so slow. I deaf warmed up, but I've caught up. And now I'm 175K in. It's day 21. I've only got to do another 25K, so I'm going to finish early. I had an initial fundraising target of 1,500 quid. We've hit that. I had a second fundraising target of $2,500. We've hit that. It's now at 3,250. I'm probably going to hit that. And every pound, shilling and pence we raise goes straight to support our paras. This charity looks after those that are serving now, those that have served in the past, and really importantly, and I want to say this, it looks after their wider, what they call the airborne family. So their other halves, their dependents, the people that have lost someone and still need to be associated with a regiment. They're caring for people from Afghanistan, Iraq, Kosovo. So there's even going back to the Falklands and even further. It's an amazing regiment. I'm quite humbled just to be able to raise money for them. My son, putting in reality, he's serving with 2 para. He's ready to deploy anywhere in the world within 4 hours to fields of theatres of conflict. Do you know what I mean? So it's these are the elite troops, and it's a pleasure to be able to raise money for them. All I'm doing is running. And I'm talking it up, and I'm getting donations. And what's great is I've seen lots of members of my network, people I know, are now following Support Our Paras on LinkedIn. They're now sharing their content. That's as important as a donation. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just getting it out there. Yes, I time it to do it in November. In November we will remember them anyway. So it works really nicely, mate. So it's going okay, Jack. But look, back to the podcast so far. First half of the show, we've learnt the tradie story. Started in Dawes Road, Fulham, ran that Dawes Road Triangle. It's grown and grown, and it's scaling. Yeah, you've achieved things which others dream of. You've got bigger. You've secured investment. You've got intelligent, charismatic, and actually very, very successful mentors and investors who are around you as a business. So the future could be really, really exciting for you. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break. Then when we come back after the break, we're going to talk about how technology is now starting to disrupt the builders merchant industry and how that's going to change, because it is starting to happen. We're going to probably give some advice to people who are at different stages of their journey, Jack. So that young Jack who's doing nights and working days, and he's a grafter, but he wants to do something more than be on the tools for a gang of electricians. We're going to give advice to the younger generation, and we're finishing things off by trying to listen to what's coming next for you guys. So we'll see you after the break. You enjoy the first half?
Cool. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, cheers, Pete.
Excellent, mate. So we'll see you after the break.
When it comes to bricks, there's only one company to speak with. ET Clay have something for every brick project. With over 400 products across our 2 depots, we are the builder's merchant, brick merchant.
Right, welcome back to this episode. We've been talking to Jack about all things tradies, and I want to say thank you once again to David Blitz of ETK Products. They're a sponsor of this show, and without them, we don't have a podcast. So, Jack, what I want to talk to you about, mate, is more kind of the industry itself, all right? So, I'm a builder's merchant boy first. My career started, I've spoke about earlier, local builders merchant, Travis in Fulham, did 9 3/4 years there, London sales director gig at Juice, and loved it, job of my dreams. Gave all that back to set my business up, and I've been on a 21-year roller coaster journey of highs, lows, and all of that in the middle. But what I have noticed now, today, is that the landscape is changing. The merchant landscape, whereas I might have had 150 independent customers, I've now got less because there's consolidation and there's acquisition. But then you look at the builder's merchant customer. Back in my day, they were greasy spoon. They were kind of very old school in terms of, they would have their break, they do this, they do that, they come and have a chat on the counter for a half hour, and it was kind of habitual what they did. What I'm noticing, what I'm noticing with the customers now is they're fitter, they're younger, they're sharper, and they are much more tech savvy. Right, and this is interesting because when you reached out to me on LinkedIn and we had a chat, and I was talking about your product, I mentioned a couple of companies. I said, "Well, my nephew works here. Have you heard of them?" And you went, "Yeah, I have." And I went, "My son used to work here. Have you heard of them?" He went, "Yeah, I had a curry with him the other day." I'm like, "Whoa," but this is innovative tech, which is disrupting home deliveries and disrupting kind of deliveries to homes and sites because of location and speed. Why shouldn't that exist in the construction sector? So, how do you see innovation and tech rocking and rolling across merchanting in the future? Where do you see the changes coming, Jack? I'd love to hear it from you because you're a lot more techie than me. So I'm just interested as to where that innovation is going to play out and how it's going to benefit.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right in what you're saying. I mean, you got the construction industry, merchanting, I guess, being a part of that industry. The construction industry is very archaic, but you're right that we are just starting to get there, to the point where it's ready to be digitized, and it's an exciting time for anyone young because they're going to be on the forefront of that. Okay, but right now, out of all the industries, I was at a BMF event last week or the week before. The CEO John Newcomb was speaking, and he pulled up a really interesting slide. Actually, it showed all the industries, and construction was the second to the bottom in where the industry's at in regards to tech in comparison to other industries. So we're second to the bottom, which isn't good. We're one above agriculture and farming or something like that.
And the farmers are in the news at the moment, mate, aren't they? So there we go.
That's it. So we're down there.
But let's hold that thought. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Because we are building hospitals, we're building infrastructure, we're building homes. Like the construction industry is all consuming.
Yeah.
Why is it at the bottom of that? It shouldn't be, should it?
It shouldn't be, no, and it's not in the US. In the US, the construction technology is way ahead of us. So if anything, you could even have a load of entrepreneurs over here just looking at what's going on over in the States and copying. So there's no reason for it to be so far behind, but it is starting. It is starting to happen. But what I spot is a lot of construction tech companies, they focus on the contractors. Not a lot of people are focusing on the merchants, and I find that odd because merchants, there's a lot of opportunity there, and I actually think merchant workers will adopt technology better than a guy on the tools, and that's because they're behind the trade counter, they're on the computer, and they're already in front of a screen. The blokes on the tools, they're on the tools, and I was terrible before I started Tradies. It's a tech company, but my business partner's a full stack software engineer, but I was absolutely useless. Believe it or not, I still sort of am on some bits. I'm not that techie. And that's where the changing point is. So I'm only 29, right? And there's a big difference between 4 or 5 years. My brother-in-law, he's 25. There's a huge difference between us two. He would much prefer to use an app and all that sort of stuff. And then I'm one of them ones who I like picking up the phone. So it's that sort of 4-year gap where there's a huge change.
And so you got a middle-aged old git here. I'm nearly 50, so I'm going to be 50 in February, right?
Yeah.
So I'd like to think I'm quite down with the kids. I'm all right. I can work tech. I've got an idea of what goes on. But in comparison to other people, I'm a bit of a Luddite. I'm not. I'm not that. I'm a two-finger typist, and I bash it too hard, and I get frustrated. But actually, what I can see is that it can be a game changer. We've used video technology as part of our recruitment offer. Pre-pandemic, right? So pre-pandemic, we were saying, look, rather than a CV, wouldn't you rather watch us interview this candidate and make an educated decision on their suitability, on their fit? And then you was trying to overcome, honestly, you were overcoming, what's a Skype? What's FaceTime? We're going, well, let me explain it to you. People were pushing back. For us, the pivot, the changing moment was the global. It was horrific loss of life and a global pandemic when everyone had to learn about Zoom and learn about Teams and learn about this. So actually, then when we rolled the software piece in and the video piece in, it was more of an open door. So I've seen it from where I recruit, but when I look at how we offer our recruitment service and the challenges we go through just to get that kind of understood, I look at other people I know who have got same size businesses, larger, smaller, whatever, and they're in different spaces, and it's much easier for them. It's much easier for them to get it in, and they've got different challenges. So tech is coming. What else do you see coming into the merchanting industry that can add value? What have you seen in the States, or where can you see trends going to, Jack?
In the merchant industry, I guess you do still see a lot of people going out to the yard with like paper slips and all that sort of stuff. But, there's still a lot of paperwork in there. So I think there's a lot of opportunities around digitizing some of their processes. But you know what I've always said, once I've I don't know what I'll end up doing with tradies, stay here for a long time, or, we might sell a business, whatever. I'd actually love to work in a merchant for like 6 months, because you work on the tools and you can spot a problem. I'd love to work on a merchant and see exactly how they operate on a day-to-day, because there probably is a lot of inefficiencies there that can be cleaned up. And, anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. Any of the guys working on the trade counter, they can see a problem and they can just start validating it. Just the equivalent of when I was on the bike, they can start doing things offline and getting a bit of traction. And, there's like loads of opportunity for them.
I've seen that, I've seen that with some of the experienced guys around my age, slightly younger, but they've had good merchanting careers, and for whatever reason they've stepped away from the corporate world, or forces of nature have meant they've gone off and they're doing something on their own. When I see some of these entrepreneurial startup merchants, the guys and girls that are running them, right, they know merchanting inside out. They know the prices, they know the game, they know the suppliers, they know the customers in their area, and you can see that they are delivering an exceptional level of service because they're answering all the problems before they're asked. Because they know what the challenges are, whether it's stock level, whether it's availability, whether it's delivery, whether they need to link up with someone like you to make sure that delivery gets there when the customers need it. Being able to do that, standard. Back in my days as a rep, sales manager, sales director, the whole lot, customers wanted, consistency of price. They didn't always want the best price, but they wanted consistency of price. They wanted a relationship, and they wanted honesty. If you delivered that, you're going to get some of their business, depending on how hard you worked and how sharp you were and how much you developed that relationship. You may get more, you may get less, and that was always the eternal battle, wasn't it? They're going to spread their credit around, so how much of that credit can you get? And that was always the game. So it's interesting hearing it from you. So bottom of the league table at the moment, but opportunity to rise to the Premier League, or maybe the Conference League, or keep going upwards, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I mean, where I was saying that construction at the bottom of the table, again, and you said why? There's all these skyscrapers going up. There's all these housing developments, and you're right. The construction industry, is a GVA of 130 billion, which is about 5% of the GDP. So that's quite a significant chunk of the GDP. Yet, in regards to technology, we're at the bottom. So there's so much opportunity there. It's ready. And I think to your other point about merchants and where are they going, I see a lot more like online merchants now, and like other marketplace businesses which are connecting merchants to tradespeople and whatever procurement platforms, all that sort of stuff. And that's all opportunities for us because we can integrate with them.
Again, I remember like late 90s, click and collect.
Yeah,
like whoa. I sound so old, don't I? When we launched Foyne Jones, there was barely an internet, mate. Like there weren't a Google and there weren't job boards. So I look at things, but I remember click and collect, right? And that was like trying to say to a builder, look, if you email that through and you let us know, we'll have it ready for you. You ain't got to wait in the yard. Oh, would you? And that was that conceptually.
That was like mind blowing.
But again, this is, and I'm talking late 90s, mate. So this is a long time ago. But look, that's the journey this industry's from. I love the builders merchant industry. Anyone who's connected to me will know that. And I actually want to welcome businesses, people, players like you coming into this industry can only add value because you're bringing a work ethic, you're bringing a solution, and you're adding value. So long may it continue. I'm going to ask you in a second to kind of wrap the show up by giving some advice to the next generation. But before we do that, mate, what are you looking at? In the short, medium, and long term, and you haven't got to share all your secrets. But where are you looking for the business? What's the future look like for you and tradies, Jack?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I guess where we've developed all proprietary technology, it's all in-house technology, and part of that consists of a transportation management system, right? Okay, so this is where we're organising drivers, we're optimising their routes, they're getting the proof of delivery, it's coming back to us, going to merchants. But there's a lot of merchants, they all do have these TMS systems, which is a transportation management system, but there's a lot of independents and things like that who don't, and they're still giving their drivers a chunk of paper in order to go and deliver it one by one, and then they're sending pictures back on WhatsApp or whatever. So I think there's an opportunity there for us to offer out a SaaS model with software as a service, whereby merchants can use our software to manage their own fleets as well as outsourcing to our network in the same portal. So that's something that we're leaning towards, and also e-commerce integrations as well with the merchants, so people can go on their their website and order and check out with tradies. So that's sort of what we're focusing on in the next few years. We got a lot to do, but we've got a good team.
Mate. It's exciting times. Give you a little reality check. My first job as a rep, I was only in my late teens, like 19, 20. I was repping South East London and like Del Boys Manor, right? So I was doing Peckham, Rotherhithe, New Cross, Deptford, Forest Hill. I mean, they were quite tough postcodes, but amazing job, right? I loved it. Yeah. So we didn't have mobiles, we didn't have sat navs. So my traffic management system as a rep, was a London A to Z. Like genuinely, it was a London A to Z book. Yeah. And if they said, you got to go and see this geezer down that road, I'd be literally, if I didn't know where it was, a lot of the time I did, but if I didn't know where it was, I'd literally be going, that page, that there, find it, planning my route in my head, that'd be next to me. Like that's kind of where I was, I was just after phone cards we had for a little bit before we got mobiles, and then we got mobiles, and we all talking like that on the phone, and it was all right. Then I was like, oh no, you can't do that. So I remember this journey to where we are now. Like the younger generation, they never had it so good. The motors almost drive themselves, didn't they? Do you know what I mean? So it is there, but. Are you excited about the future for you in the business, Jack? Because that's what I want. That's what I want to ask. Because you're a little bit nervous. You're excited.
Yeah, I'm not nervous at all. It's exciting. I absolutely love what I do. I love finding, we stumble across a lot of problems. I love finding solutions for them. And again, like I was saying a minute ago, we always test it out offline first and then digitize it, build some tech around that solution, check with our partners, i.e. the merchants, what they think of it, take their feedback. I love communicating with the merchants, doing things like the coffee mornings, which we will pick up and do again, just getting in front of people's faces. I used to do it when I was testing the concepts on the bike, doing the deliveries. I used to go in the industrial estates and do leafleting and stuff like that. But I love all that. I love all that. So I don't want to lose touch of that. And even the deliveries, I still do some of that because it's important.
This industry which you are servicing and which you are there as a partner and a supplier to, you're offering a key service provider, right? You're doing it there. This is an industry which is still all about the people, right? Yeah. So people, personality, and relationships. Whether that's pressing flesh, whether that's a beer, whether it's a game of football, whether it's banter on social media, whether it's a WhatsApp banter, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all about people, and I think you've got what I see coming through from you, and I will say this and share it with my listeners, you've got the tech piece and you've got the wider support network, but there's a work ethic there where you're prepared to put a shift in. And I think with that, you're going to endear yourself to the merchant population, and long may it continue, mate. So I genuinely wish you all the best and all the luck in the world for tradies. Now, we're going to talk about a younger Jack Hopkins or a younger Peter Raymond Jones. And we're going to go, look, if you're up and coming now in your career, and it might be that you're mature, you might be my age and you might be thinking of change of direction. You might be college age, whatever it is, doesn't matter. If you're leaving prison, leaving the armed forces, doesn't matter. But if you're at that stage where you're looking for career advice, what would you say to inspire our next generation, mate? What words of advice would you leave us with, Jack?
Yeah, I would say just go for it. Just don't, and look at what the end goal is. So again, I have to talk in terms of like if they've spotted a good idea again and building some sort of tech business, because that's sort of what we've been doing. So if they do spot that idea, they do spot that inefficiency, and they can think of a solution for it. Don't think that it's out of your depth. Anyone can do it. It's not that I'm the pinnacle of success now, but I was on the tools and I've gone off and done it and got these great people around me and whatnot. So it's within reaching distance. It is, but then just break it down to small steps. Give yourself a little goal. Mine was the 10 deliveries, and then I got to the 10 deliveries, and then it was a bigger partner, and that was the Morans, and then it was my business partners got them on. Then it was Travis Perkins, and then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, whoa, look at what this is now. Look at what I've built, and it all started on the bike. So I'd just say to them, break it. Don't think it's out of your reach. Break it into small steps, and throughout the process, just look after yourself as well. Like we were saying about the running and stuff like that. The exercise. I'd say that.
Mate, mean, first of all, thank you. I think that's such articulated advice, and that's coming for someone who's put his life into it. You've done the night shift at the airport to generate the income, to generate the time, to make something happen. Look, I say this to people all the time. I'm a kid from a council estate in Fulham. I could have turned left and had a very different life, but I turned right. I worked down North End Road, mate. So you know North End Road. Back in the day, that was like the main artery of Fulham, the market on Fridays and Saturdays. My granddad had a fruit and veg stall, right? So I worked on my granddad's fruit and veg stall, probably where I learned how to talk to people. But from there, I fell into a career within builders merchanting, and it gave me a lot. And now I've been running my own business for 20 odd years, which is still a pinch me moment for me. Most businesses fail in the first couple of years, and I'm still going and punching probably well above our weight in terms of what we do. But I'm lucky enough, Jack, to probably run it on my terms. So that's quite unique as well. Whereas I'm responsible to me and I'm responsible to my family, but actually I do things that I really enjoy. And that's something I say to everyone. At the moment, we're dealing with the aftermath of Homebase, right? So I'm having heartbreaking phone calls. There's serious job losses, and it's a terrible time of the year. And the advice I'm giving to people is that it will pass. It's going to be hard, but be positive and use this as a moment in time to try and think about doing something for yourself or changing your career. And I think your advice there, Jack, was spot on, mate. And I go back to what you said at the start. It's something you trialled, started in Dawes Road, Fulham, which is always going to endear itself to me. And you're now mixing it with the big boys, mate. So personally, from a Foyne Jones show perspective and a Peter Jones perspective, you are also an example of the power of LinkedIn. Because so many people don't really value LinkedIn, and they kind of have a little look, and they might be confident enough to do a thumbs up. I actually, I'm going to say this because I kind of trumped you on the tech, mate, because you didn't know it did voice notes, Jack, did you?
I didn't.
How can you not know that?
I've done my first one. I've done my first one today, and that was to you earlier.
Yeah, but because you messaged me, and and one, I love the fact that you had the confidence to just message me. Well, I like that. And I like where you come across. And I sent you a voice note. I was out and about, and babble, and probably spoke absolute rubbish. But you said, I didn't even know he did voice notes. And I'm like, there we go.
There you go. I'm not that techie.
But go on.
I was just going to say the other bit about the industry as well. Advice. All of these, everyone I deal with, where we deal with people at like executive level, director level at these merchants, is such a humble industry, and most of them have all started in the yard and things like that. Do you know what I mean? They've all started in the yard, then they've gone on the trade counter, then they've gone manager, then they've done this, and there's a lot of people who have, like your show, from the ground up. But I'd say 90% of them in these high roles are from the yard and from the ground up. So I'd say just if that's what you want to do, just build in your career, just get started, get in the yard, learn all the basics there. It really
works. The Feed for the series really works from the ground up. And I can take no credit because it was Dave Blitz's idea. I had a couple of other titles. I'm like, what about this? What about that? He's like, no. I'm like, you come up with one then. And anyway, he said, from the ground up. I'm like, you've done it, mate. You've nailed it from the ground up. We do it like that. But Jack, listen, thank you so much for being part of the Foyne Jones Show. This is what LinkedIn can do. It can get you an opportunity just to talk about what you're about. But actually, you don't need me to showcase yourself because you're already doing great things. But you've been a brilliant guest. Promise me you come back again in the future and tell us about the way the journey's playing out, and we get together on Dawes Road, or we go into the Bedford, see some of the old mates, we'll have a beer, and we catch up on things, mate. How about that?
100%. Yeah. No, I mean, thanks for having me, Pete, and well done on your progress on the running as well, and well done to your boy.
Yeah, we're done, mate. We're done.
Yeah.
Listen,
Congratulations.
You sponsored me. You put your money where your mouth is. You went early. I might not have even turned up, but I am going to get it done. But listen, great episode. Great service. Love what you're doing. That is the end of today's show. We will see you next week. Thanks again to our sponsor, David Blitz and E.T. Clay. That's the Foyne Jones Show, Season 8, from the ground up. We'll see you next episode.